everyone, this is JD, and I'm here with my friend Gabe, and we are discussing today Superman. And we have some thoughts on this movie.
Starting transmission.
All right, so everyone, before we get our review, I will tell you this will be a spoiler-filled review. We're gonna kind of break down characters and some of the plots. For our initial talk, we'll do a quick initial review of the movie that's spoiler-free, and then once we get into the spoilers, I'll make sure spoilers is here on the screen. That way, you guys know once we get into spoiler territory. All right, so Gabe, what are your initial thoughts on after watching Superman?
Well, my initial thoughts, and I'm borrowing this from this podcast called Our Crazy Stupid Podcast. They had a very quick little short video up, and they broke it down like this. I want to give them credit because I'm not stealing their ideas, but I really like their take on it. It was like Superman is a firefighter and not a cop, which I took to
Okay.
mean is like his focus of the movie was trying to save not just people but everything, as we saw. Like he didn't want if he could keep someone or something from dying, he was going out of his way to try to save that person or thing.
Okay.
And I really like that analogy because that was how I grew up kind of with my interpretation of Superman was like he wasn't just like a force of enforcement. He
Yeah.
was like his portrayal is more of like not just for justice, but for like the little guy, for the big guy, for everybody. Like he doesn't have a job. He does it out of the goodness of his heart. So,
Yeah.
like a firefighter, while they do have a job and they get paid and all that, their job is to save people at the end of the day. And Superman took that upon himself without a paycheck, without any government sanctions or um, endorsements, and he literally flies around the planet just trying to help people in like little ways and big ways. I mean, there's plenty of comics where he's pulling cats out of the trees for little girls, or he's keeping the
Yeah.
buildings from crushing people or cars or what have you. And I really thought that one of the major points of this movie was to show Superman in that light. Like he's not. They didn't try to make him a god. They didn't try to make him like a giant symbol for like a nation or any type of one thing like that. He they tried to make him a human with flaws who's just trying his best to do what he can for everybody. And I really like that viewpoint of Superman for this movie.
Okay. Yeah, and I totally agree. I think that's a big part of the Superman for this movie was he wasn't just like force of nature. He didn't come in with all brute strength and everything. He had one mission, one goal, and that's all he did. This one we have a different Superman here where he is like helping everybody. We see in the movie where he saves a squirrel, where he saves a dog.
Mhm.
He's saving little things like little creatures like that too, and not just the monster of the day of the week or whatever it is. So no, I did like that. That is a really great portrayal because that's how I portray Superman too. Is that he's always been one that, his belief system is what drove him to be who he was. It was how he was raised, how actually saw the world and pictured the world. Like everybody needed to be helped. There's no, oh, you help this person, but because I didn't agree with this person, I don't help this person. And I mean, and in this movie, we do see him be like hero not just for Metropolis, he's a hero for everyone. And I think that's a really good, strong message this movie does portray.
It's like I said before, like literally flies around the world trying to save everybody. In his lectures, they don't quite sound as pompous as like they did in like past media, but there is a point where he lectures somebody, but he also kind of puts himself down as well. Like not to go into spoiler territory, but it was a scene at the towards the end where he basically laid it out as like I'm a human being, I have flaws, I make mistakes, I'm trying to better myself every day, or trying to help everybody. Was a
Yeah.
basic point of what he said.
No, that's pretty close with what he says.
Oh wow.
But no, that yeah, that's not that is this movie, and I think that's the big part of this movie is that we were able to get that side of Superman now, which we haven't really seen before. Well, we've seen it, but it's been a long time since
Yeah.
we've seen that Superman.
Let's say that's like since Richard Donner's movies, right?
Yeah, and I think a little bit we see a little bit of it in the Bryan Singer one, but we don't see much of it since then.
I
The
was
movie's still
asleep
kind of
during that Bryan Singer movie. I'm sorry.
mid.
Oh, I did not like that movie.
That one was weird. That's a weird movie just in general. Overall, the movie was really great. I did enjoy the movie. Um, and you know what? This is the movie that I'm going to just say that if you like Superman, you like the comic books that Superman's based off, this is a good intro into the Superman mythology, the origin story, and kind of giving you a new basis of what this new world, the new DCU is going to be overall.
Hmm. Yeah, I liked how James Gunn tried to like differentiate this from the Snyderverse, from Richard Donner, from the animated. It's like his own little universe now where he's trying to build up these heroes. And like right at the beginning of the movie, they basically say Superman. This is like year three of Superman, of him being
Yep.
an active superhero, and he's already known, but he's still making mistakes.
Yep.
We'll get into that a bit later, but start from a good place. I'm sorry, I mean a good beginning, without like going over like the origin story and all that stuff that we've seen a thousand times by now
Yep.
in other media. But to your point, I do like how he's building a world starting with Superman and like the other side characters in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I think that's the big strong part in this movie, is that he's able to build this world that feels authentic in a way. So let's go into our thoughts on some of the things we thought were good about the movies.
Guy
So let's say,
Gardner.
okay,
Guy Gardner was perfect casting, perfect writing, perfect acting. Nathan Fillion knocked it out of the park. He was a stern jerk when he needed to be, when he um, needed to get into, yeah, pull out the pop.
got to have the pop figure. See,
It did the haircut
perfect haircut.
justice. Yeah,
See, I got the haircut's perfect. I
it
think.
was. Um, like he was a big jerk when he needed to. He was stubborn, but you could tell like he had a good heart there. Because he had his Green Lantern job to do. He was for the good guys and justice and whatnot. And there was a point where he had to step up to Superman, and Guy Gardner would be the Green Lantern to do that, especially
Yep,
as brash as he is, and he did that perfectly.
he does. No, I totally agree with that. I think like some of the cast in this movie is great. They did capture a lot of the feel and like a lot of the mannerisms to these characters you've kind of been reading on paper. I mean, you haven't seen many of these characters in person. Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, we've seen in other iterations with the CW shows and stuff like that. Um, with Superman, we've seen him many different versions of Superman and Lois, and I think this is probably one of the more truer versions of the characters, and that's what I really like about this. Like there's not many of the different versions of these characters that would stand up. Yeah, the cast in this movie was great. They did an amazing job in the movie. Um, like I said, we have seen these characters, some of these characters before, but like the characters we've never met before in like a CW show or anywhere else, like Guy Gardner, they actually nail their characters perfectly. Um, and that was really cool to see them on screen. Um, I know another thing I do like about the movie is the score was amazing.
Oh, the score was great.
They did a great job using John Williams' score a little bit,
Yeah,
but like
sprinkled here and
updating
there.
it. Yeah, so I mean that was cool because you have to use John Williams' score. It's one of those things that you're like, well, they're creating Superman. It should be a new score. I mean, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel had its own score, but no, I like it when they go back to the original because there's something about John Williams' score that's just like it gets you right down the feels.
It takes you on like a ride. It like grabs you and it's like we're going this way. It's like a roller coaster, but it's like a ride you want to be on.
Yes.
Like you want to go on this journey. You want to fly through the sky as fast as Superman, and that's what, at least for me, because I remember watching those movies. I love those intros of the first two with the letters flying at you and the score
Yeah.
just like roaring. It made me feel like I was gonna fly with Superman. You know?
Yeah. And heck, they even kind of reiterate, we kind of redid those scenes with this movie too, with the new writing, because you kind of get that feeling with the words popping out. Because I think it's the words are flying in. I think in this movie. Yeah, for a 2.5, a 2 hour movie, a little over 2 hour movie, this movie was also well paced. I think that was a big key of this was the how like it didn't feel like 2 hours. I think once you're in there, once it ends, you're like, oh, I kind of want to be in this world just a little bit more.
Yeah, the pacing was really great. Though with me, I could tell when the halfway point came. We'll get into that later once we're in the spoiler territory.
Yeah,
Sorry, going back to your point, the pacing did make the movie feel like very smooth. Like it didn't feel like 2.5 hours, or however long it was. It felt like a just a smooth progression from beginning to end. A few bumps, but that's a bit nitpicking. But
yeah. You have any other thought? Any other favorite moments of the movie? Anything not spoiler wise?
um, not spoiler, not spoiler. It's hard because spoilers are so good. Oh, the costumes. The costumes are great.
Oh yeah, the costumes were really good. They did a good job. You know what? I didn't mind the strand with all the lines, the outlines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it actually worked really well.
that's a good point. Because I remember seeing this picture on Instagram like months ago where somebody had used AI or CG or whatever to remove the lines and kind of add more muscle definition to the costume. And I didn't really it, on one hand it was like more like a Christopher Reeves type of costume, and on the other hand it was like this is not James Gunn's style. He
Yes.
likes the more, except for Peacemaker, but he likes the kind of rigid like costumes that look like they've been lived in,
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. So I kind of was I was glad with the choice for the for Superman's costume especially, and also the Justice Gang.
I know
um,
the James Gunn's team.
James Gunn's team.
I pulled it out. We were watching the movie after. I was like, you notice that James Gunn had to get his initials in the movie somehow. He's like Justice Gang JG, and he has in all the outfits that the Justice Gang wears. I'll have JG on it. Like, yep, he got his name in there. His initials.
But also I liked how he did include their individual insignias on their costumes too. The Green
Yes.
Lantern had the Green Lantern symbol on his shoulders. Hawker was on the belt buckle, I believe, and the strap for the wings. Or were they natural? I don't really know which
You know
version of
what?
Hawker this was.
I don't know either because I thought they were real wings, and as we were watching it, when they had the scene on without her wings, I'm like, wait, did they just retract on her body? Does she have fake wings?
Yeah.
They don't explain it. Like, well, they don't explain which version of Hot Girl this is.
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, her costume was good, and Mr. Terrific's was fantastic. I could go off about Mr. Terrific. That was the best scene for a side character that didn't has never gotten his due in like the Justice League cartoons, in the
Yep.
Flash TV show or Arrow, whichever one it was.
Or the Arrow, yeah, he was
Oh,
in
Arrow,
both.
okay. Like he got enough screen time to show like what he can do, how smart he is, and it just justified him as being a strong support character.
Yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he really did pull off that. That's really, um, yeah, he was a great character. Yeah, his character was amazing, and I don't want to go into too many details yet to get the spoiler part, but no, he did a great job, and I actually really did like his character overall.
Oh, and just really quick, staying on the costumes. I mean, the costumes for like all the other actors, like Lois, they captured her kind of still a little bit corporate but rebel with like how loose everything was, the
Yes.
ties and all that. Jimmy, like he had like the same thing, kind of like Lois, like kind of more freelancer type of vibe going with him.
Yeah, they still kind of kept his little geeky or like kind of
Yeah,
nerdy persona still, but they updated it because he's not wearing the bow tie like he does a lot of the different iterations. But they kind of like made him still seem like, oh yeah, that's Jimmy, still kind of a nerdy kid in that sense.
yeah. And like Perry, like he was you can just tell by the way he dressed, like he was the boss. It didn't take you like hearing him yell at anybody, but like I just liked how James Gunn took like what we would envision all these characters to look like and brought it to
Yeah.
life, but still while updating modern audiences.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. He did a great job with it. The costume design was almost impeccable on this one. They did a good job because you did feel like this was a real world that had superheroes. Like this is what the superhero costumes would look like, and it fit. They all fit nicely in this world too. Like one costume doesn't feel out of place. Like, and it's gonna fit pretty nicely with the Peacemaker too. Because if you look at the way the costume designs are of Peacemaker, it's like, okay, yeah, these are gonna be very much like in that style. So that way, when those two worlds kind of merge in a weird way, they'll be able to be seamless in that way. Yeah. What were some of your least favorite moments?
I want you to go first. I want to hear yours because I know
All
that
right.
we talked briefly about it, but you had some nitpicks.
All right. So nitpicking. And the part is that nitpicking, when you have to nitpick in a movie, it's really good because you're looking for the little stuff to like throw you off. So this world is pretty much a lived-in world, and we're seeing all the superheroes and fights, stuff like that. Um, there's times where, like with James Gunn, is like kind of making you focus on one area, but there's always stuff going on around the characters. So there is a big old fight scene. And you see in the trailers, you see it in the posters, and the initial first shot of Superman was the scene with the giant creature in the background and the Justice Gang is fighting it, but we don't ever go see that. And I felt like there was so much going on in that scene. I know what he was trying to do was say, "Hey, don't focus on this," but look at all the funny stuff too in the background. There's always stuff for Easter egg fans and everything to catch. But that right there was like it kind of got a little disoriented. Or like, oh wait, is that what it was happening? Was that not? Like, well, should I focus on that? Should I not focus on that? It kind of takes away a little bit of the emotional scene. It's a pretty big emotional scene between Lois and Clark, and you got to listen to what they're saying, but it does kind of get distracting when you're kind of looking at the giant creature in the background being fighting the Justice Gang behind them. So that's one scene I didn't like too much. What was one of yours?
Just speaking in generalities again, it's a Hollywood trope of because you want this scene to happen. It's like because we need to have somebody break into a fortress. It just happens just because without the explanation of why. And I know that scene in particular paid off later, but it just kind of bugs you in the moment. It's just
Yeah.
like a door unlocks just because it needs to unlock, or um,
Oh yes,
yeah,
that
um,
scene. I forgot
yeah,
about that scene. Yeah, when you see the twist of the movie, there's some twists. It makes sense when you go back here watching the movie, like, oh yeah, that's why that happened. But there's a lot of as I would put it, actually, as my wife Tasha put it, um, barely an inconvenience. The pitch guy would say,
yeah. Shout out to
barely
Pitch
an
Meeting.
inconvenience. Yes. Ryan George on pitch meeting, he's like, yeah, barely an inconvenience. And there's a lot of those scenes that happen in the beginning of the movie. You're like, why is that happening? But like I said, once you find out why it's happening, you're like, okay, now I understand. But yeah, those are kind of moments where I'm like, kind of take you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, and to your point, about the like things happening in the background, I can liken it to because we've both seen examples of that in comic books.
Yes.
Um, but like I think depending on who's writing and drawing, we would eventually go to those scenes. And we have two
Yeah.
stories being told at the same time. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on your preference. But to your point, that is a little distracting, especially with with the high emotions of that particular scene.
Yep.
And there were other scenes too where um I can't get spoilers, but
Yeah, I know.
a certain canine was causing trouble in the background.
Oh yes, that's it too. Yeah, that was kind of funny. Like just some random stuff with with crypto. So all right, trying to think what else was bad.
It's really
I can't find
hard.
anything bad. I can't figure out anything else bad.
Like
Like,
it's really hard.
uh,
I don't know. I guess there wasn't enough punching. Actually, there was plenty of punching.
what? Yeah, this movie does have a lot of fight scenes, so you would think that would be something like a lot of people were upset, before the movie came out, saying, "Oh, it's not going to be a lot of fighting and stuff like that." And it's like, no, there's quite a bit of fighting.
There was a lot of
There is
fighting, a
at
lot of
least
violence.
three major fight scenes, and they last a long time.
Hmm.
You get the intro fight with the Hammer Baravia. You get the fight with the Kaiju, which you see in the trailers, and then you get the fight with Ultraman and Engineer, which you also see in the trailers. So you get those three major fight pieces, and there is very little room in between. But that's okay. So my other nitpick would be there are events that happen in the movie that it seems like time is stopped, is standing still in certain areas, like the scene in
Yes.
Smallville, where I'm like, but there's a lot going on back there. Nobody's like, maybe we call Superman, but I understand why those scenes were there, but there was it really like action, action, action. Oh no, grave danger! It's the middle of the night. Boom, daylight, and nobody's like, hey, maybe we should do something about this.
And you reminded me of another nitpick that I have. It was the portrayal of Clark's powers. Because we've always seen him like he's listening to everything all at once, all the time,
Yeah.
or you can see
Yes.
like through people and he's always like looking and being aware of what's around him if anybody needs his help or whatever. Didn't see any of that in this movie. He
I
was
don't think they've.
he was always like in one moment, like completely distracted by somebody who he's talking to or what was going on.
Yeah.
Like they never had him like just listening for people's problems or like
We
X-ray
never.
vision to anything.
No, he never uses his powers. That's one thing we don't ever see him. We see him do ice breath,
Yeah.
but we don't ever see X-ray powers being used, and we don't ever hear super hearing. We don't ever see that being used.
Mm-mm.
Like I know there are powers that he has, but we never get those like actually fleshed out in the movie. And come on, it's James Gunn. It should be something you do. So yeah, no. The normal classic Superman stuff you would see is that you would see like the bounce of the bullets, catching an airplane. Um, we see him catch a kaiju's foot, but you see that in the trailer.
Yeah.
But we don't. Yeah, there is. We don't ever see him catching a car and lifting it. We see those scenes in a lot of the other iterations of Superman. I think we see it in Man of Steel. We see it in um, Superman and Lois. We see it also in Smallville and the other versions of Superman. Superman Returns, I think, does it too. We get those classic scenes where he's like lifting the car over somebody's over his head. The classic shot for Superman, the Superman cover. We also get the shots of the bullets bouncing off his chest and everything. We see that. We never see him if he's even remotely like bulletproof. We never see that. We know he is because he gets burned and everything, but
Hmm.
we never see that. And and I was okay with him being a Superman that's kind of a little more weaker. Like he's only been
Yeah.
around for 3 years and he hasn't really figured out his powers yet, his power set, and how strong he really is. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that he does hold back his punches. Because you kind of know that you kind of see him like he holds back a lot when he's fighting people. So
Yeah. I did appreciate that too, showing how he can control his strength. Because, like you said, he could literally rip people apart without even trying.
yeah, and then the other part would be CGI. The movie's kind of there's some parts that are kind of wonky. There's a little bit in the battle scene of the fortress. How you see in the trailer with the engineer when Lex breaks into the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah,
It looks kind of weird.
that scene where
But beyond,
Luther was walking and things were flying, that looked
yes,
a little cheap.
yeah. But overall, like when it's actual the fight scenes, like the Green Lanterns, they looked amazing. His special effects and all that stuff. They did a great job with that, and Crypto looks amazing too, with special effects wise.
Yeah,
So
most of the time.
yeah, and yeah. There's a couple of moments where he's like, oh, that's a cartoon dog.
Yeah,
But no, overall, I think he did. I think yeah, that was great. There's again just nitpicking. That's all we're doing right now. Just trying to find little flaws here and there. Yep.
but oh, and another little minor nitpick that just popped in my head. You know how in like past Superman media, like there's always a scene where a building falls and like, where's Clark? Can't find Clark. We gotta find Clark. There's none
Yes.
of that in this movie. None of that.
Nope. Nope.
There's no worrying
The whole
about
city.
Clark.
Nobody cares about Clark. After Lois got the article, nobody cared about Clark
I
anymore.
know.
So I'm gonna end our non-spoiler section. We're gonna get into the cast now, and this is where we're gonna kind of start all the spoiler talk. So if you guys are want to hear any spoilers, continue listening. If not, thank you for joining us, and make sure you hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. But like I said, we're gonna go ahead and go into the cast and some of the more spoiler stuff next. All right, so let's talk about this cast. I'll leave Big Blue for the end, so we can talk about him and Lex. So we'll talk about those last. Talk about some of the more minor characters. So Justice Gang, you got Sean Gunn, which is James Gunn's brother, who played Max Lord. You have,
For that little
which you only
quick
get,
scene.
yeah, he hits the smallest scene, which is actually kind of interesting because he has a bigger scene in the trailers for Peacemaker. So we do see him in there when he's recruiting the new Justice League or the new Justice Gang, whatever it's called. Trying to think, is it called Justice League in the trailer
Yeah, for Superman or
or
Peacemaker?
Peacemaker?
I don't remember.
I gotta go back and look at that. I think they called it the Justice League in Peacemaker. So out of the three characters we had that were part of the Justice Gang, first, my least favorite of them was Hawk Girl. The Hawk Girl was my least favorite of that group because they didn't really use her much. You don't really get
Yeah,
to understand her at all.
which
Uh,
sucked because she's from The Last of Us, and she is
yes,
fantastic in that show.
yeah. Isabel Merced plays Hawk Girl in the movie. She is amazing in Last of Us. She's the original Dora from Dora the Explorer movie.
Remember, I found that out too. That was funny.
But no, she's great in Last of Us, and in this movie, I felt like she wasn't utilized as well.
No, she was just kind of there, like they needed another superhero for the Justice team, and
Yeah,
they picked a
especially
good
like a female,
character.
yeah,
Yeah,
like a new female, like a female character in there. Um, my wife was really annoyed the screaming of the hot girl time she fought, which I don't remember her having in the comics or in the cartoons.
my wife kind of thought it was like a battle cry.
Yeah,
'Cause She,
well,
she,
that's what it kind of was. Yeah,
yeah,
but I think it kind of annoying after a while.
yeah, a little bit.
And like we didn't get any of her background or characteristic. Like she was kind of a jerk with to Lois in the scene, whether it was she's trying to where Lois is trying to recruit the Justice Gang to help Superman, and but that's about it. Otherwise, she's like hero of the day. Like she comes in, fight. She's like the brute force of the team,
hmm
which is kind of funny because she's like that's all she is. Like every time you see her, all she is hitting away at the kaiju with the mace, and or she is like fighting everybody off. Oh, she's um, ending the life of the prime minister or the dictator of Moravia.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, she's just there for like brute force. Just come in, beat a bunch of people up, and like, okay, I'm dead now.
Yeah, they really should have gave her some more dialogue or something to kind of cement the character because, like, again, she's a fantastic actress.
Yep,
And she could have done so much. Well, if given the opportunity, she could have done so much more with that character.
I agree. She could have been a way better character. And then, so that leads me to the other two. We have Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner, which he's finally a Green Lantern, so that's awesome. We've been wishing for him to play Hal Jordan for years, and unfortunately, it never happened.
Well, he did.
Well,
He
he
did
plays the
in the
cartoon Hal
cartoon.
Jordan.
Yes, there you go.
In the cartoons, he does play Hal Jordan, but we never really got to see him as Hal Jordan in the movies. And I know back in his Firefly days, a lot of fan casting was him as Hal Jordan. But unfortunately, we never got to see that. But he makes a great Guy Gardner.
He really
He
did.
he has the most like he says the most like crazy things. He's such a over the top character. Um, and he's cocky in a way that he basically says whatever's on his mind, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks.
And that's perfect for Guy Gardner because that's how he is. Like he's brash. He doesn't care what you
Yep.
think. He's going to generally do what he wants to do, even if it gets him like punched in the face, or whatever, for the recourse of his actions.
Yep.
And like in his mind, he's right. Like which they emphasize perfectly with the name the Justice Gang, which he
Yeah.
he did
Exactly.
not back down at all on that stupid name.
Yeah. Yeah. He makes fun of Metamorpho later, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we don't want this guy face to represent our team." And Metamorpho's like, "I like this gang name." And he's like, "Oh, you're on the team." It's
Yeah,
like, oh, but no, I actually liked his character a lot. He played the perfect Guy Gardner. You know what? Yeah, yeah. Like I said, of course we didn't get him as Hal Jordan, but I love the fact that he's Guy Gardner. We're gonna see him in Peacemaker. We're gonna see him in the Lanterns TV show. So that's really cool to see. That he's gonna be a big part of the new DCU. And then with Guy Gardner, just like the special effects and stuff they did with the ring. You know what? He did a lot more with the ring than Ryan Reynolds did with the ring in the the Green Lantern movie.
They really did. And to that point, I remember seeing again on Instagram these people complaining about how uh, the apparitions were just appearing detached from the ring. And I was just like, do people not read the comics? Do you not see any other media besides like the cartoon or whatever? Because
Yeah,
again, it always depends on the artist or the director, the writer, whatever. But there's just so many interpretations of how the apparitions are shown from the ring. You don't always need like a trail of green light or strings or whatever coming from the ring. Like they can
exactly.
literally just make the like we saw in the movie just appear.
Yeah, we see that a lot. You see that a lot in the comics. You see it either attached to the ring or it's not attached to the ring. Yeah, especially when they're creating the baseball bats and like the roller coasters and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You know, with Kyle Rayner and everything. It looked a lot better too. The special effects
Yeah,
for the power ring
the
looked a
middle
lot better.
fingers.
I know when it's fighting they're fighting in the war. He's like knock over tanks and middle fingers, which is all in the trailer too, which is funny.
Oh, is
If you
it?
watch,
I missed
yeah, if you
that.
watch the trailer slowly, you'll see the middle finger one go up. um, no, he did a great job. And next we have Mr. Terrific. Was played by Eddie Gathegi. Gathegi, I think it's how you pronounce his name. I could be wrong, but he played Mr. Terrific. He's an actor. He was in X-Men First Class. He played Darwin, the one with that special powers that could
Oh,
like
that was
mimic.
him.
That was him, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. So he's playing Mr. Terrific. And you know what though? Like I said, we saw a version of Mr. Terrific and Arrow. You know, a very mild version of him. He was smart, but not street smart and stuff
very
like that. Like,
subdued.
yeah. And this one actually, you know what? This is your superhero, Mr. Terrific. You know, he used the T spheres perfectly in this movie, and his complete battle scene was just amazing. On the little beach where they're going to the portal,
Hmm.
was just great.
That was a fantastic scene. Like you said, how he used the T spheres. He protected low. Well, I guess this is a bit spoiler, so I won't say that. But
Oh, we're in spoilers.
oh, we are okay, cool.
Yeah.
How he protected Lois from being shot or harmed by all those iron suit wearing doofuses, whatever the hell
The
they're called.
Raptors,
Raptors. There you go.
The Lex bots, that they look like.
Yeah, basically. Oh, side note, I wonder if that will be the basis if they ever give Lex his exo armor.
Well, I think it's gonna be more like the Hammer Baravia suit.
Oh
I
yeah,
can see that one being more because when he takes off the helmet later, and we'll go back into more of that one. But yeah, that I think that'll be more of the outline for Lex's mech suit.
I can see that too. But anyways, getting back to Mr. Terrific, I mean, like the choreography for that fight scene was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like they even had him punching people, kicking people, grabbing a sphere, being lifted over to a new position. The spheres could zap people, handcuff them. It just uses like general projectiles.
Oh yeah.
They showed like you said, he can hold his own in a fight with these super suits, which apparently give people super strength, and he could punch right through them.
It is crazy. Yeah, he's able to with the T spheres. He doesn't hold back at all. Like he's just like zapping the people. You know, and those guys give Superman and Crypto a fight for the money. The Raptor guys later on. So just to see that Mr. Terrific take him on by himself, it was pretty crazy. Like, he's like, nah, this is easy. And he's just like casually walking and like,
Hmm. Like no care on his face whatsoever.
it reminded me of what's his name, Rooker's role as Yondu.
Oh, yeah,
When he's with the whistle, when he's whistling the flute is like the arrows like following around. It was
yeah,
like almost identical to that scene in a way.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I like Rooker's role in Guardian. So, but yeah, that was
We all
really
like
cool to
Mary
see.
Poppins.
Yes, Mary Poppins was the king of that movie. Mary Poppins, y'all. Uh, but no, and I'm so glad they gave him the ability because he is the third smartest man in the comics, in the universe, DC universe. And you see this in this movie too. They let him use his intelligence and everything. Like he reminds me of a mixture of like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, where he just says whatever's on his mind. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks about what he's saying. He's the smartest one in the room. He'll just say it, just to say it. and that's kind of like that's kind of my basis on how what he reminded me of in that sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, but like when he goes in there, he's like, "Oh, don't worry about this. It's gonna make a black hole, gonna kill the world. I'll fix this. Let me hack into this really quick," or stuff like that. He's just very, you know,
Very
matter of fact.
nonchalant, matter of fact, like you
Yes.
said, which is kind of funny in the delivery of some of his lines too.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it kind of funny. Like, it's he just kind of says it like, "Oh yeah, you know this." Like, I do.
And then he just kind of rolls his eyes.
All right. So with Anthony Carrigan playing Metamorpho, I like that they finally brought Metamorpho into like live action. This is a really unique character who had very crazy powers. Um, like he could create any element from gas to solid and heavy elements. Um, I thought his elements were only based on earth materials,
But
so that's kind of
then,
weird that
yeah,
kryptonite he's able to create kryptonite and a sun.
yeah, and the sun
And um,
or a
but
star or something.
but yeah. So, what were your thoughts on Metamorpho as being introduced in the movie and Anthony Carrigan's portrayal of him?
Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with that character as you are. I've really only seen him in the Justice League cartoons.
Okay,
So I'm just kind of vaguely aware of his abilities, like you said, he can manipulate matter from Earth into like different
yeah,
other types of matter, and
yeah.
therefore he's kind of made up of those elements, or is it just?
He's not made up of them, but he's like
Oh,
he can construct his body to be those elements.
okay. That's about as much as I know of him. Like
Yeah.
I don't really know if he's a human or where he comes from. So I think you should talk more about Metamorpho than me.
All right, so Metamorpho's character is his name's Rex Mason. He was like an archaeologist, and like a treasure, like Indiana Jones type character. He falls in love with this woman who is the daughter of a industrial guy named Stag, and we kind of we see Stag Industries in the movie. It's
Yep.
where the fights after the fight scene with Superman, we see them in there. This guy Stags, he basically sends Rex on a mission to get this orb, this ancient Egyptian orb, um, just so he can get him away from his daughter because he doesn't like the fact that Rex Mason is in love with his daughter. And it's when there he steals the orb and it basically curses him, turning him into the Elemental Man. So Metamorpho the Elemental Man, and then he becomes like a Frankenstein type of character where he's a monster, and no longer loved, or everything like that. Dude, he falls back in love with the girl. They have a kid in the comics called Joey, and we kind of get a glimpse of Joey in the movie. In the comics, Joey has all the same powers as Metamorpho, so he can turn into but he's a baby, so he doesn't know how to control how changing the elements and everything like that. And this one, it's just like a green alien baby. It looks like.
Yeah.
Um, but that's pretty much like the story of Metamorpho in the nutshell. And yeah, I do like the fact they finally brought him to the big screen. It's cool. Anthony Carrigan did a great job with with his role. I've liked Anthony Carrigan since I saw him on Gotham, where he played Victor Zsasz in Gotham. Um,
Oh, that was him. Okay.
yeah, and now he's Calypso in now he's Calypso in Twisted Metal season 2, and which is perfect. Guy's a good. It's just a fun actor too, you know. But yeah, so I was really glad to see him in this movie, get his big break in a sense with like a big movie like this. And kind of curious where they're going to go with him though, going down the road. And as for his son Joey, I get they used him just as a way to have Lex control Joey, but
Yeah.
he was it controlled Metamorpho. I mean, so it was okay. Our Joey was there just to be kind of an extra story, an extra fight scene in the movie later on.
Well, I mean, just by your description of his powers, I was a little confused because in the movie there was a scene where he was basically a head with tentacles, and the tentacles didn't really initially look like they were made out of any elements.
Yeah,
They just kind of look like
I
protrusions from the
don't
head.
I don't understand that part. Like I was thinking about it, like when he turns into a floating head and he has gas body, like he does that in the comics too,
Hmm.
where he's a floating head with gas body because his body can turn to any gas, and they keep his head human form. So like okay, that makes sense, but when he has the tentacle arms and everything, I don't know why they did that. They made him more like elongated man or like Plastic Man, and then they still gave him his weird powers, and it it looked like to me it was like he was reforming his body,
Mhm.
but only the arms of his body, his arms and legs, and nothing else. It's like he didn't regain his torso, which is weird. So I don't know why they did it. That was probably the one big part with his character, and I could be wrong. I could be like missing something from the comics, but yeah, that part right there is what threw me out. Like, okay, well, that is more of a they created that portion of his powers just for this moment. He never uses it again because when we see him later on in the fight scene at the end, he's turning into sand, which makes sense, and he's a dust devil and everything like that, and causing all mayhem. So
Mhm.
the giant hammer, he creates a giant hammer out of his hand,
Oh, yeah.
So he creates iron or steel out of his hand, so he was able to do that. So in those sense, I'm like, okay, I can buy those, but yeah, that was really weird. Not too sure why they did it that way. Should we talk about Mr. Handsome?
Mr. Handsome.
That was that creature that was like patrolling the prison, the scary one.
Oh,
Like Lex
that thing
called
was creepy, man.
that thing was scary looking.
It
So in
looked
the movie,
Go ahead,
there's
sorry.
like it's okay. So in the movie, there's a scene where they're in a prison, they're in the pocket universe in a prison, and Lex is like, I guess you say is a driver for his boat. Think of it like the River Styx and the Grim Reaper is driving the boat and everything. But this creature is called Mr. Handsome, and he's a scary mother effer.
Mhm. He looks like the Martian Manhunter in his Martian form with,
Yeah,
like, hollowed out eyes and, like, no teeth or anything in his mouth. It looks just, like, all black.
yeah, he is something straight out of a creepypasta,
Yeah.
like a Slender Man version of a creature. I swear I've seen that face before, like on a Halloween costume. So if I'm able to find it, I'll put it here on the screen. But yeah, that was just that's all I want to say about him. He's just a creepy creature.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens with him. He's just a creepy creature that we see throughout the movie. All right, we have Pruitt, Taylor Vince, and Nev Howell playing Ma and Pa Kent.
Oh my god, they were fantastic choices. Like, oh my god, they were, like, the perfect, parents for this movie. They embodied, like, 2 people who cared about this fictional superhero from the stars,
Yeah,
whatever, and especially Pa Kent, like, that speech he gave Clark about, was it parents don't
we
teach.
just give the tool. We just give the tools to our
Yeah,
kids to make our, but our kids just so they can mess up.
yeah,
It's like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like that, and that scene, like, that whole speech, like, really struck me because, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out my life, and,
yeah,
like, it just makes sense. It's like you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do anything. You're just kind of making mistakes, stumbling through life, figuring it out, and
yep,
which that, like, played directly into Clark's story in this movie because, as we learn, we hear, like, the full speech from his biological parents,
yeah,
um, that was recorded in his spaceship when he landed, and that, like, sends him through this whole trauma, self doubt period,
yeah.
and, like, that speech, like, really seemed to boost him up and me too personally, because it's the reaffirmation that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to screw up because that's how you learn. That's how you better yourself through these mistakes.
And you're
And
not
I
the person your parents created. You're not the person your parents are trying to tell you to be. You're your own person, and you create your own
Exactly,
destiny.
exactly. You control your own destiny by the choices that you make.
Yeah,
And I really appreciated that message in this movie.
yeah. Yeah, no, that was yeah, and those 2 were amazing as mom and pa Kent. They very much wholesome farming family, just living their life, they just had so many great moments in the movie. They were very whimsical. They were very much just like a pretty much a big joy, like just to see there on the screen.
hmm It's
No,
like seeing. I know we're not talking about Marvel, but it's like seeing Peter with Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
yes,
It's like getting to see him be raised by those two and like what they mean to him. Like we get to
yeah,
see like not only in this scene when Paul was talking to Clark, but like at the end scene where they had like the pictures surrounded of him with Ma and
Yeah.
Pa Kent like throughout his life as a boy, growing up on the farm and like all the little birthday things and Christmas things they did for him, and just being there with him to help him. Like that was a fantastic scene.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. That was so moving too. Just the whole idea, like when you find out his parents, are the ones who, because throughout the movie he says that it's his birth parents, so Jor-El and Laura, that are his like guiding him, and they comfort him and everything. But when the twist happens in the movie, it does take his actual biological parents, the ones who raised him, to for him to realize, no, I am the person that these people created, not the person that I was meant to be. I was told to be. I'm the person. All my beliefs and everything come from this, from my family. These are my parents, and this is what brings me comfort all around. And they were funny too. And they were funny too. I
Oh, they were
liked them.
hilarious. When Ma
The
called
way,
she called Paul what a
yeah,
crybaby bear or something like that.
yes. Then he like when she's talking on the cell phone on speakerphone, she's like yelling and she's like screaming on the
Yeah,
phone.
I kind of wanted her to be on the camera, FaceTime.
I know, or somewhere like that. Or no, they were the wholesome group. I loved it. I love the fact that we didn't get to see one of them pass away, which is good. I didn't want to see them after we got to meet them. I was like, you can't kill one of these characters. I did throw you into another spiral, emotional spiral in this movie.
I know. I thought Paul was gonna die. I thought I thought because they showed that scene in the trailer of him hugging Clark,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you know, James Gunn, he's not afraid to murder somebody. So I
Oh
thought
yeah.
for sure he was gonna kill Paul Kent somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I thought so too, and luckily he did. So we're we were spared in this movie.
Yes,
All right. So that was those characters. So a quick rundown of our Daily Planet cast. So you had Wendell Pierce playing Perry White.
great
I think he
actor.
did a great job as Perry White.
Yeah, he did a
Not
great
much
job.
screen time. Not
You
much
know,
screen time.
he made the most of the few scenes that he had. He
Yeah.
presented himself as like he's the boss. Everybody answers to him. I liked how he kept refusing Jimmy calling him Chief. It's like his
Which is a
parody.
nod. Yeah, which is a nod to the original Superman. I mean, honestly, all these actors, the small cast members of the Daily Planet, they did like fill in this world, create this new world. You know, we don't really ever see much of the Daily Planet in the Superman movies. We get little bits here and there. And this one, we did spend a lot of time with this cast, so we got to know some of these characters in the Daily Planet. I think they did a great job. Little
Yeah.
cameos and small roles that they had.
And I liked how, like, initially they all just kind of jumped in, speaking their lines, and it was like you could pick up on which character they were, like Cat Grant and the sports guy. You know, he's a jerk, he's an asshole. He's been in like many cartoons and past
Yes.
movies. Jimmy, Lois, obvious as soon as they're on screen.
Yep.
Harry, obvious as soon as he's on screen. Like just really good casting and and really good writing.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely. And with that being said, so those are all the minor characters. So now it's some of the bigger characters. We had Jimmy Olsen, played by Skylar Gassando, played Jimmy Olsen in the movie. I liked his Jimmy Olsen. It's so funny to think that his Jimmy Olsen is kind of like the character in the comics, but not. Like in the comics, there is a running gag with him being a ladies' man, and for some reason, he's had, I think, every iteration of Superman, he's always had multiple girlfriends at some point. Like he's even dated Lois Lane. He's dated like some of the
He
superheroes.
dated Lois?
He dated Lois for a little bit. He dated
Wow.
Lon. Well, he dated Lois's sister. And he finally dated Lois's sister too. Different iterations of him. He's always had this thing where there's some kind of storyline too where he had some kind of pheromone too, some kind of like alien powers given to him that made him fall. There's all the weird stuff, you know.
Mhm.
So I like the fact that they kind of used that in this movie to make him like he's like the women they just crawl over me, so it's okay.
That's funny.
Oh man, though he was so like kind of goofy, kind of silly, and I don't know, I liked him a lot as Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, like I said, he wasn't very serious character. The dynamic between him, Clark, well, mainly him and Lois.
Yeah,
That's one thing I didn't like is how those three from the planet, they didn't really have a lot of time together.
no, yeah, you're right.
Or at all
We got
really.
Yeah, we get more with Lois and Jimmy, but not as much with Jimmy
Yeah,
and Clark. And Jimmy is Superman's best pal. You would think he'd have a better relationship with Clark, but we don't see that much. Not much built there.
like not at all, really.
Mm,
His relationship seems stronger with Lois than
yeah.
Clark.
Well, the only thing I did dislike with Jimmy was just how he treated Tess
Eve?
Mocker, Eve Tessmacher. There you go,
Oh,
Eve
her name
Tess.
was
How do I?
Tessmacher. I
Yeah, it's
missed
Eve
that.
Tessmacher.
Okay.
Yeah, so Eve, how he treated Eve was just kind of weird. Like he was so
Yeah.
mean to her in a weird way that it's like, and she's like, "I love you," and he's like, get away from me. I just need you for information,"
Yeah, that
which is
was
a big plot point in the movie. Like his relationship with her is big, was pretty big in the movie, but it was kind of weird though. It was just very unusual.
I mean, he was
That's how I
gaslighting
felt.
her. That was not
Yeah,
cool. It was not a good thing to have
no,
your, I don't know, C rank character in your movie gaslighting this other character for information.
yeah, it was very strange. That was like only like really bad like pet peeve with that with his character was the way he treated like how he was treating Eve in the whole movie.
It was really terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
Even on his phone, he called her mutant toes, something like that.
Yes, he said like her toes are like a bowl of shrimp had fallen on the floor. Shrimp cocktail. Yeah, it's just bad. Anyways, that was like my biggest gripe with the guy with their interpretation of Jimmy.
Yeah, same.
Then we got our one of our main bad guys we had was the engineer,
Yes.
and she was played by Maria Gabrielle de Farah. I think that's how you pronounce it. She did a great job as engineer. You know, she was one of the henchmen. She's one of Lex Luthor's henchmen in the movie. It's her and Ultraman. But yeah, it was really cool. Her power set, they kind of use similar from the comics of her power set, where in the comics she gives herself the nanotech that makes her into the engineer. In this movie, we find out that because of her, I guess, hatred of Superman, that she let Lex put nanites into her and then make her into the engineer herself, which is kind of different. But I know I liked her power set. I liked how she was a formidable foe too against Superman
Yeah, they're.
and Crypto.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. If they, I told you this before we saw the movie. If anything happened to that dog, I was gonna lose it.
She like almost suffocated the dog.
Yeah, that was horrible. Um, but no, I liked her too. She had very like again with a lot of these sub characters, they didn't have a lot of lines for her. Um, and like you also said, her powers were represented pretty well on film. I just kind of, 'cause I know her from the Authority comics, and
Yes.
from that framing of her, I pictured her as more of an intelligent character who would have
Yeah.
easily seen through somebody trying to manipulate her. Yeah, so that's where the disconnect with me and her where that came from. They did a good job of showing like her power set. I wish she would have cut Superman because that is something that she is very capable of. Like
Oh, is
just to
she?
yeah, because didn't she cut Apollo?
I think she did. I think she may have once. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure they made a point of saying that she could make something sharp enough to pierce Apollo, and Apollo was pretty
Mm,
much that universe's Superman.
I think you're right. I think that did come up once. And knowing that this Engineering 2 is going to be in the Authority movie, if that ever comes to fruition, um, yeah, I wish she was more of the smarter version of her character in the, because so she seemed more like the henchman. They did everything Lex told her.
Yeah.
But also, again, that could be because Lex was controlling her too, because we do know that Lex has the ability to control a lot of the characters and what they're able to do. Especially when we meet we get to Ultraman's backstory in a little while.
Need some bottles of A1 sauce. We can just flash it across the screen.
A1, 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 3L, 3L, 13L. Oh my goodness. But no, I agree. Great character. Not utilized, I think, as good as she could have been. She was just like the robotic sidekick to Lex Luthor in order to get that message from from the Fortress of Solitude.
Right.
So yeah, so we do have another set of characters. We have the Superman robots, all played by different actors, and all have their own unique personality. The main one, Four, is played by Alan Tudyk, who is from Firefly, Resident Alien, Andor. He's Hey Hey and Moana. He's plays a bunch of characters in Disney movies too. But great actor, great actor. What are your thoughts on the robots, the different robots?
I really liked them. Obviously, Alan Tudyk had the most time, most lines. Um, I completely forgot that Michael Rooker was playing a robot as well. 'Cause I don't
Yeah,
remember hearing his voice, but he obviously spoke.
like I'm like I can't picture his voice at all in any of the robots.
Yeah, and oh, there was somebody else. It was a female voice that I recognize. I don't see it.
Well, Clementine played Five. She was Mantis and Guardian of the Galaxy.
That's what it was. Okay, yeah, it was her.
Yeah, and then the one who played 12, Grace Chan, who played number 12. I don't recognize I don't recognize the actress. I know she's been in some TV shows, but those robots were just there to be there. But Alan Tudyk's character, who plays number 4, was probably the best one, and he had like the most like closest relationship to Clark.
Yeah, it did seem like that.
And his character was like the most human of the characters in a weird way, but he had all the good one-liners.
Yes, he did. And going to your comment about the human of that character, at the end of the movie when he was bantering with Superman about like how he wanted a name because everything else had a name except for him and the other
Yeah.
robots. No, he said four is a name. He's like more of a designation. I always wanted Gary,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
Gary's a
Superman,
name.
yeah, and then Superman says like Gary, would you put on the pictures of my family or something like that?
Yes.
And I like how we just kind of go from there.
Oh yeah, he made them more human in a way, so he connected to his robots.
Hmm.
No, that was really sweet.
But yeah, Alan Tudyk is just the master of taking a soulless type of character like Gary or the killer robot from Andor or any of his
K2SO.
other, yeah, or any of his other voice acting roles and just like injecting it with emotion so that you kind of care
Yes.
about this character. And that's what a
Oh
good
yeah.
voice actor does.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think he's a brilliant, amazing voice actor. So what were your thoughts on Rachel Brosnahan as playing Lois Lane?
I thought she was fantastic. She was a very powerful character. She owned the scenes that she was in. She really embodied the version of Lois who doesn't take crap from anybody. Like she's going to get her thoughts, her opinions out in front of everybody, no matter who they were. Even if you're Superman or if you're Perry or some random person, like you got that vibe from her that this is the headstrong Lois who doesn't let anything stop her, and she's going to get to where she wants to get to. Um, I did like how they weren't so aggressive with that type of character. I liked I liked her a lot. I liked how they also showed the caring side of her, especially with Clark when they went to the farm with Mom and Pa, and then she saw his old childhood room and kind of got to see a bit more of the behind the scenes version of Clark, on like
Yeah.
where the kindness comes from, where the thoughtfulness was. Because to my earlier point, earlier in the movie, they were having their little mock interview together. She was
Yes.
interviewing Superman about him intervening in this huge war overseas, and he shouldn't have done this for the various reasons. And the main point that Clark was trying to make is like people were going to die, and he didn't want
Yep.
people to die, so he broke all these rules to save these people. And
Yep.
Lois was like, "You broke thousands of international laws, committed thousands of crimes that could be classified as war crimes. Like, do you have anything to say for yourself?" And Clark is just like, "People are gonna die." And we contrast that with her seeing the human side of Superman when she sees like his childhood room and the trophies and the pictures and like everything, like how this unbelievably kind person, where all this altruism came from. It was from being brought up on this farm with mom and pa and like being showered with like an unfathomable amount of love and freedom to grow into the man that we know.
I totally agree with you on that one. She was very much a strong-willed woman in the movie. She played all the strengths of Lois Lane that you would see it in the comics. And yeah, at one end you have her. She was trying to figure out who was Superman, who was, and not like she knew who Superman was, Clark Kent, but like her idea is like, why are you doing these things if you know better, you know?
Mhm.
And you see that whole natural like reporter side of her. You don't get to see much of, but you got to see the reporter side of her when she's like drilling him with the questions at the very beginning. She goes, "Why were you doing this? Why did you do this?" And then they're like, "Oh, what about social media and and all that
Oh
stuff?"
yeah. Was it
Superman
super
shit.
super
Hashtag Superman shit. Hashtag Superman shit. Um, he goes, and Clark breaks up and goes, "How you know I don't like that?"
Yeah.
But
It's like
she
the one
was,
thing that made him crack.
I know, just that. But like she was so much like you could tell she was in love with Clark too, you know. And yeah, Rachel Brosnahan brought a lot to that. She made Lois Lane feel a very powerful character in a sense where, you know, she just lived on her own. She's done everything on her own. She knows how to handle herself in a high stressed situations, like the whole situation with Mr. Terrific and Lex and everything. She is never afraid. You know, she doesn't need Superman to save her. She
Mhm.
was very capable of doing a lot of stuff herself, which is really cool. And you got to see all that with through Rachel Brosnahan. You got to see her just a genuine love for Superman. Superman tells her when she at the very end where they basically confess their love to each other and everything. You know, it, I don't know. She was a great addition to the movie too.
Yes. Fantastic.
Next up, we have Lex Luthor. So we have Nicholas Holt playing Lex Luthor. Like Nicholas Holt, like took a bit of almost every single Lex Luthor in a weird way and made him his own. You know, you got a
Yeah.
little bit of Michael Rosenbaum, you got a little bit of John Cryer. You know, you got those characters in there. The cartoon version of Lex Luthor, the rich billionaire, smart, intelligent billionaire. But you also got the whole wanting land and stuff like that from the Gene Hackman and everything.
Yeah.
So, and you know, he's a smart guy. He's intelligent. He builds Ultraman. He creates the engineer. He accidentally created the pocket universe that he
Mhm.
has the prison in. He puts everybody who goes against him in this prison and the pocket universe. Like and the stuff he does in the movie is so evil and vile. Like he kills one of the guys that helps Clark Kent. You really hate this Lex Luthor
Yeah.
and the way he treats his staff members. And even the way he treats Eve, yeah, it's just like, oh, you do not like this Lex Luthor. You're not rooting for him.
No, like he took the character and really tried to emphasize the worst parts of Lex Luthor, which there are a lot. But I did appreciate how they, to your points about him being intelligent and and all that other stuff. But I also liked how they um framed him as always being a few steps ahead. Like he always had plans on plans on plans.
Yes,
Um, just so he could be like a step ahead of everybody else because of his ego. Um, and I really did appreciate that interpretation of this Lex Luthor. But again, to your point, he was a terrible human being, really self-centered, just like a vile person. But um, we have to appreciate it because that is the foil to Superman that we've always wanted in the movie.
yes. Nope,
And
I totally agree.
in my opinion, we haven't gotten that since well, I mean the Two and a Half Men guy and the animated Lex Luthor.
Yep. Yeah, like those are like the high points of those like of your evil Lex Luthors.
And I liked how he could turn it up too without like, well, no, he kind of did. He kind of did chew the scenery a little bit, but he didn't do it too much. Like he knew his range from from trying to grab everybody's attention, the audience, I mean, um, and bring them with this character on this ride. Like he had
Yes.
this smarmy attitude that he portrayed without even saying a word, and they did a great job of conveying that and just making us hate him just from like just seeing him, like the scene when he's walking into the fortress of solitude, and like the bullet, not the bullets, so the knives and the dog are flying all
Yeah.
around him and shards and robots and whatnot, and he just looks like this most pompous asshole, like completely ignoring all this mayhem because his goal is
Yes.
right in front of him, and he knows his two henchmen will get the job done.
Yeah, and the way he treats like that, and like, and you also see little humanity in him because this is a guy who basically wants to be loved by everybody in a weird way. And the fact that Superman just came out of nowhere 3 years ago, like everybody loves him, and they forgot about him. He's just jealous, and you see that in his face too, where he's just the jealousy is just eating him up. Especially when he's like crying at the end when he gets found out that he did all the bad stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, such a great character, such a great actor too. So
yeah,
yeah,
that was a great casting choice.
that was, and his like relationship with Superman was great too, because I think this is the first time they meet each other. And like the first time he goes face to face with Lex Luthor is when he's looking for crypto, and
Mm-hmm.
and the way he just like no fear. Superman's there tossing things around, and he knows Superman was not going to hurt him, but he's able to sort of take jabs at him to get him angry to rile him up.
Yeah,
When he puts the mug to his mouth and goes,
yeah.
"The stupid dog in
Oh,
a
is
cape."
that what he said? I
Yeah,
honestly had no idea what he was saying.
yeah, he's like the stupid dog with the cape. So he's like whispering that. So no, it's great. All right, so that was Lex Luthor. Let's go into now the big man on campus. We'll go
Mhm.
into
Big me.
David Cornsweet as Superman, Clark Kent. So what are your thoughts on him?
I thought he did a fantastic job. Again, going to my earlier point of this Superman was a very vulnerable Superman. Like he wore his emotions on his sleeve. He made no illusions or to the contrary of him wanting to save everybody. And other than the director showing that, he emphasized that in every line he delivered, in every emotion that he made. Start over. In the caring coming out of this man's eyes and his emotions from his face, we understood that this is a Superman who cares about everybody and wants to help as many people as possible. Not only
Yep,
because of the message that came with him um from his little pod, which we'll find out the rest of it a bit later, but we'd also learned that that came from his parents on Earth, Mom, Pa Kent,
yep,
and he just took that and he fashioned himself into um. I can go back to my point. He made himself into a firefighter instead of a cop. He made
yep,
himself into a person who whether you call him or not, he will be there to try to help you if you are in danger or if you need help, no matter where you come from, no matter what you look like, no matter what status you have, where in the world you are, or even off world. I guess they did mention aliens
yeah,
in this movie. Um, like, and I really loved this portrayal of Superman. As again going back to my earlier points, like not as Jesus, not as a god, not as some infallible Iron Man uh, of 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 virtue or whatever they tried to portray him as in the past. And he wasn't boring.
nope.
Like I'm sorry, that was my main thing with Superman Returns. Is that movie was so boring.
It's very,
Um,
very well. He doesn't fight anybody in Superman Returns. And Brad Ruth was an okay Superman, but it was just like,
he's a great
uh,
actor. He just didn't do
yes,
anything. Nothing happened in that movie. Like they made him not only a symbol of hope, but just like something they tried to remove the symbol of hope from him to show like he is a human being. He makes mistakes. He's trying to do his best, just like all of us. They tried to make him like he's a human being with all these crazy powers and whatnot, but he's no really no better than any of us.
no, I agree. No, yeah, I think that's a big part of his character is that he's yes, he has the powers of a god and everything in a sense, but he's still human to the core. Like everything he's about is human. Everything that we learn about him, the way he grew up, the way he lived with mom and pop, can't you kind of get you don't see it, but you know that they instill those values in him that you have all these powers, save everybody, do everything you can to save everyone. And we see that in the movie. He said, like I said, he saves a dog, he saves a squirrel, he saves a bunch of kids. He saves everybody before he lets anything bad happen. There's a whole when they're fighting the kaiju. you see a big dynamic change between them with the way Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Terrific are fighting the kaiju, and they're causing all this like debris falling and stuff like that. But Superman's around, he's fighting the monster, then he goes around and starts saving people. Fights the monster, goes around and saves people. And I think David Cornsweet brought a lot of that to the movie by actually making Superman more of he brought the Boy Scouts type character to the character.
Mhm.
He's very much humble. He's very much very heroic, very inspiring. Just you never felt like he was too powerful and everything like that. All the other characters thought so, in the sense that they thought, "Oh my God, this guy is a god. He's going to take over us." But you never saw that with him. Like he was always like I'll do my best I can, and I'll do
Mhm.
what I gotta do. And yeah, and in his as Clark Kent, we get to see a few scenes with him as Clark Kent, and that was just in the Daily Planet scene, I think. That's the only true Clark Kent we see, and a little bumbling guy, but you got that sense. Okay, he's just how he portrays Clark Kent to make people not think, oh yeah, you might be Superman,
Mhm.
but everybody else is just like, but when he's actually Kal-El, Superman, that version of Clark Kent, yeah, he's more. He has a different way he walks. He has a different way that his presence is there on the screen too, and I think he did a great job. I think he did. He is now one of my top Superman out there. The actors who play Superman, and he just did a overall great job. I think with the movie, he just brought us back to more of a natural Christopher Reeve kind of Superman and everything like that,
Mhm.
and not as and he still kept very cartoonish because he's very cartoony in a way. I wish they did more with his powers. We only got to see a few, like we mentioned earlier. You only see him use the supervision, heat vision, and then breath, and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't get to see his X-ray vision. We don't see his hearing. They do X-ray vision when the nanites are taking over his body. Or like, good, his eyes are now. You can no longer see. He can't use his X-ray vision
Oh, I missed
to
that part
see.
then.
I mean, but it's so obvious though. He's Superman and Clark Kent are the same person. It's so weird how they didn't try to distinguish them too much as being different characters. I do wish we got the Superman reveal, chest reveal scene. We didn't get
Yes.
one. I wish we got one
No.
of those. Um, and then I loved all the parts with him and his mom and Pa Kent. Those were just so meaningful. And I like the fact that this is the guy who's torn between two worlds. He's literally he's torn between his home world, Krypton, and his adopted world. And
Mhm.
we get to see that trauma in him when he finds out the real reason why he was sent to Earth. And yeah, I overall did a great job.
Yeah. And also, I liked how, I mean, because it still has to be an action movie. Like he was down to throw hands. Like those
Yes.
fights were fantastic. The choreography was amazing, even though like probably 90% of it was CG, but they were still like really fun to watch. Very violent. Like, there was a part where he dislocated his own shoulder to beat
Yes.
Ultraman.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I guess we gotta say a little bit here too with David Cornsweet. He doesn't only play Superman and Clark Kent. He also plays his clone with Ultraman. So we also get him playing a third character who is very different too from his other two characters. Ultraman is your I'm gonna say bizarro version of Superman in this world. Um, he's not the Ultraman from the comics. So
No.
Ultraman's a Superman from another world. Even though what's weird is the twist that happens with Jor-El and everything is very similar to what Ultraman's origin story is. So it
Oh,
just his parents send him to Earth to rule and conquer Earth and everything like that. I think David Cornsweet's a great Superman, and I'm glad that we have him. And I can't wait to actually see what he does with the character going throughout the new DCU.
yeah.
And I know we see him next in Peacemaker. So all right, and so that's with the cast of Superman. I know we went into super detail, a lot of the stuff in there. Now we're going into our next segment. We're going to talk about the lore of Superman and the changes that came with it. The biggest change for Superman in this movie is the story of Jor-El and why Laura and Jor-El sent Clark. And you would agree too. That's probably the biggest change from the lore.
As far as we know, yes. I mean, the lore itself.
Yeah.
Go ahead and lay it out for the audience.
Okay. So basically, what happens here is that in this movie, we get to hear the first part of the message of Jor like Jor telling Kal-El they sent that the world's being destroyed. He's sending him to Earth, where he could be a symbol of hope, and, and help the people of Earth and everything like that. And it's kind of what we've heard throughout many of the other Superman movies. We hear Marlon Brando say the same message in the original Superman. We hear Russell Crowe say it as Jor-El in Man of Steel. We hear it with in the cartoons. We hear the same message, kind of. The only one I did find that I did research a little bit, and I saw that it does kind of mirror this one is in Smallville. They do have Jor-El being there too. Jor-El says that Clark is going to control the world, which then we find out that was a test or some weird thing. They're like, oh, Jor-El was testing you on Earth.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so uh, it's weird. The way they did Super Smallville to kind of have because like Jor-El came to Earth originally, and and it lived in Smallville, met the Kents, and decided that's where Clark was going to live when their planet was destroyed.
Hmm.
There's all that craziness with it. So and that was the closest one I could find that had this kind of a message that where they said that Jor-El like because what happens is that when Lex and an engineer and Ultraman break into the Fortress of Solitude, they actually discover that there's a part of the message was destroyed and when the pod landed on Earth, and the engineer was able to recover that last message, and it was basically saying that Kal-El was being sent to Earth to rule over the people, to be basically a god among them, and take a harem of women, and basically recreate the lineage of Krypton on Earth, which is just crazy. And then what's funny is that that's the actual message that Kal-El gets on Earth 3 when he becomes Ultraman.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's like Ultraman's origin story was added to this movie. Um, but it is just like it was such an eye opening. Like okay, like whoa, this is a different Jor-El. And when we do get to see Supergirl later, who was alive on Krypton when it blows up, that's what I'm assuming was it's gonna be interesting to see what her relationship with her parents were and what Jor-El was, to see how that ties in with this kind of world, this message. Because like to me, I still feel like that message was faked, was doctored.
Yeah,
I would say, or if it wasn't doctored, it was like he paid people off.
it had to be one of the two. Either Lex paid off that news station to kind of overdub with what he wanted to have
Oh
said,
yes,
or I was originally thinking that the engineer just either mistranslated it or just did what Lex wanted her to do,
yeah, that's what I
which
felt
was
like too. Like I'm like, but what's cool about that is that that's what sets us up with having the two different storylines. We can hear Clark, he thought his biological parents sent him here to save the world, be a symbol of hope. He believed that more than what his upbringing was. So when he hears the second part of the message, he has this whole turmoil and everything like that. And it's when he talks to Pa Kent, who tells him, "No, your parents would give you the tools and everything to survive, but you'll make mistakes, and it's your own life to live. Essentially,
yes,
you create your own destiny." And it's Pa Kent. It's when he realized that, oh wait, my biological parents may have had a different path for me, but everything I learned from my adopted parents is what actually made me who I am today.
exactly. You find and make your own way, falling down on your face and picking yourself up.
Yeah.
But going back to the message that that kind of goes in line with the storyline from season one of My Adventures with Superman, the HBO cartoon.
Oh yeah.
Because in that show, Clark again, he's an alien from Krypton. They didn't change any of that. It's just that once he gets to Earth and like he's grown up, he's working at the planet with Lois and Jimmy. Kryptonian robots were on Earth before Superman showed up, and they
Okay.
attacked a facility ran by I'm blanking on her name, the Suicide Squad lady.
Amanda Waller.
Yeah, Amanda Waller. Yeah, They attacked a facility that was run or going to be ran by Waller. She was tied to it somehow. And of course, they killed some people. So one of the surviving generals like made his life mission to hunt down the origin of these robots and um, annihilate them. And so things and stuff happen where they find out that these robots and ships and all that are Kryptonian in nature, and they came with a message that was also found in Clark's ship, that it was a directive for him to go to planet Earth to lead these robots to take over the planet.
Okay, that is very similar to this one.
But there was a projection of Jor-El, and he was speaking Kryptonian the entire time. And this is before Clark understood Kryptonian or anybody translated for him. So I didn't see season two yet, so I'm not sure the resolution of that plot line. But there is like that little nugget still hanging from my point of view.
I guess I can see where James Gunn is pulling from, as he's pulling from the different like eras of Superman. So, and I like that. It is an interesting idea of having not the Kryptonians be a little more evil, a little more cold. You know, the way John Byrne when he redid Superman back in the '80s after Crisis on Infinite Earth, where the Kryptonians were basically more not like they were more science driven, and that's kind of where like Zack Snyder took his inspiration for Superman from. In that world, it was kind of cold, and you could probably pick that this Superman, his world may have been cold that way too, or you know maybe Jor-El was Jor-El and that was Zod. Who knows?
Maybe,
That was my other thing too, because I think about it too. I was like, wait, if Zod wanted to conquer the worlds and everything like that too, and bring Kryptonians race, and I'm like Jor-El sounds more like Zod here. So I'm like, is there even a Zod in this universe? Which might not even be a Zod.
that's an interesting question. I could see I could see this Jor-El turning into Zod, especially being played by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah,
I can see that being the reason why they got him and not like a really old man or sorry, random actor.
exactly. I mean, that'd be very interesting. We find out that Clark is actually like who he thought was his father this whole time. His biological father was Zod, sending him to Earth. Like Zod kidnapped him and sent him to Earth or whatnot. But it was such
Hmm.
a twist.
That'd be a twist, yeah. Has that been done in the comics? I know they've played with the relationship between Zod and Superman in like the What Ifs or Elseworld comics, but
I don't think so. I don't think they've ever done that with the comics that I can think of. I'm trying to think of any, but I don't think Zod's ever like actually taken on Superman. Like as a son in a sense. I know Zod has his own kid too in the comics.
mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I think I like that was one theory I had with it with Zod and everything with Jor-El actually being Zod, or was this world just like evil like Zod? Was this world like the Viltrumites from Invincible?
Uh-huh.
They want to just conquer a nation and
Yeah.
make have children there and whatnot. I'm like, wait, this movie's taking a
Yeah.
lot from there too.
I picked up on that too. I picked up
So,
on that too. That was a little gross, but
but I'm curious where they're gonna go with this storyline, because
yeah. Go
it's
ahead.
not a throwaway spot where you're like, oh, Jor-El just said he wanted to conquer the world. But it's like, okay. And now we know Supergirl's in the movie. We do meet Supergirl. She lands on Earth. She lands in the Fortress of Solitude, and she's drunk and kind of out of it. And we learn that Crypto's her dog.
Hmm.
And now I'm very curious about this because, and I'll go a little more detail, like with her storyline and the movie's probably going to be based off of, with it being the woman of tomorrow, is that I can see it being that she is drunk and everything because she's dealing with all her own trauma. Because Supergirl in the comics and everything, she was sent to Earth as a teenager to Earth, but she got lost or some time portal or whatever it was, black hole or something, sent her back to Earth later on after Clark had become an adult. Because she was sent to Earth to watch over Clark,
Hmm.
and so she was old enough to see her planet get destroyed and get everybody she knew get killed. So she already has that kind of baggage. She has that trauma already. So we're gonna get that with this Supergirl. And that's why she kind of is like a party animal and everything. She's like drinking away her sorrows because she's not wanting to deal with the reality of what happened. So I am very curious of how that's going to play out, and if this is going to play into the whole message of Jor-El too. Kal-El is the niece of Jor-El, so we're gonna find something out related to that. Her parents, we're gonna find out, or Brainiac, is Brainiac coming in because in the comics, her family was part of Kandor, which was turned into the Bottle City, which is on Brainiac's ship. So I'm very curious of how this is all going to play out in the lore, and why Kala hasn't talked to Kara about his parents and didn't know that his parents were like dictators or something like that.
Mhm.
That's like a little plot hole I have with that. I'm like, I'm gonna learn more eventually, but she would be the one to say, "Yeah, your dad was a dick. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a jerk. He wanted to kill. He wanted you to have a bunch of women here," which is different from Jor-El that we know. But you know what? Be very interesting to find out if that's true.
Well, maybe. I mean, it could also be like even in her drunken state, the she cares about her nephew, sorry, her cousin so much,
Yeah,
that she doesn't want to break his heart and like reveal all this information to him.
she could read Kryptonian, and she could actually translate the message, even if we did find out that it wasn't what he said.
Oh, that's
So,
true.
but yeah, those are the biggest changes. The other changes to the lore, like I said, we had the Ultraman twist where it was Clark's clone or Bizarro. Got that kind of a twist to the comics. Which at the end of the movie they send Ultraman to a black hole, which fingers crossed, send him to Bizarro World or something like that.
Uh-huh. I was thinking that too. Like that's how they either make Bizarre World or he winds up on Bizarre World.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see what that happens. There's two end credits in this movie. Not essential to any of the plot or future storylines of the movie. Just nice little nods and little side jokes. First end credit we had was with Crypto and Superman sitting on the moon, which is pretty much taken from one of the issues of All Star Superman by Frank Quietly
Oh,
and Grant Morrison.
I remember that issue.
So a little nod, and that is the first end credit scene. Nothing happens. There is no Green Lantern flying in the background. There's no other rocket landing
Mongol?
with yeah, with the War Planet. He's not
Yeah.
showing up.
There's no cubes.
No cubes flying around. So just a simple, nice scene.
It was a beautiful scene
It,
too. You could
it is
like in
such
our
a.
theater, everybody like literally was like, "Aw."
I know because Crypto hugs him the
Yeah.
way Eagly hugs Peacemaker.
Yeah, actually, that's funny, but yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And then we got the last scene was just a throwaway joke between Mr. Terrific and Superman, and it was just a kind of little goofy little uh joke where basically we see kind of like the character of Superman just being very innocent and being very like he's telling Mr. Terrific like, hey, the building's kind of crooked, it's off centered, and Mr. Terrific's like, what do you want me to do about it? Do you want me to rip it apart and put it back together? So Mr. Terrific walks away getting angry and kicking things. And Clark's like, "Man, I'm sorry. I can be such a mean person sometimes." Just it's like very classic Clark Kent type of
It
move.
was like, "Golly, I can be such a mean poo poo jerkhead" or something like that.
Yes. Uh, it was a nice little touch. I know James Gunn has said online that he didn't want to have any promises for sequels in his end credits because it really hinders the creative forces after him to have to answer those questions.
Yes, I agree with that, but it also kind of hinders the connective tissues between those movies if you're building a universe.
I don't see. I think his universe is going to be very different in the sense that because he doesn't want you to have homework to watch other stuff. So I think we're going to see the main storyline playing out with Superman. Like whatever the sequel is going to have a tie to Superman. But they're like, but if you want to see more adventures of your side characters, go watch this show. You know that cameo? Go watch this show. He's not important to the main storyline, but go check it out. Because if you want to see more adventures of Green Lantern, of like you want to see more Guy Gardner and everybody, then go watch Lanterns TV show. But if you didn't care about Guy Gardner or anything, you don't have to watch that show. You know. So I think that's how he's building his universe. They did have their Justice gang, so they're kind of already setting that up already in a weird way. So we know that's coming down the line. So there was not a need to like reference a new bad guy or something like that afterwards.
It's just that I feel like they're going to wind up in a Marvel-like situation, regardless of how he's trying to set it up, because they're gonna. I feel like at some point they're gonna get to like a crisis or a Justice League movie, something like that, where these heroes have to unite to fight some big something or other. And in order for the audience to have any familiarity with anybody beyond Superman or Green Lantern or whatever
Yeah,
the characters that they put in this movie, they're going to have the homework to watch some of these previous properties.
true. I can see that. Like they're gonna be able, so it's gonna make you think like, oh, I need to see something more. And that's if they do tie those in, because like they could be just throwaway shows.
They could be, yeah, which I feel is a waste, but who knows what he's going to do.
Or they're going to be their own storylines. So, like, if you're watching Green Lantern, all the Green Lantern shows will tie in together, or or wherever Green Lantern stuff. There'll be a through line there. But if you just want to watch Green Lantern stuff, you need to watch these things. If you want to watch the formation of the Justice League, you're going to watch this list of movies.
Yeah,
If you want to watch the history of Clayface, you can watch these movies.
right,
So it might be that way, where just like there is homework, but if only if you want to follow a certain character. Otherwise, you don't have to. The overall story will be kind of set up within the main series of movies,
right. I can
and I
see
don't
that.
think they've distinguished how they're going to distinguish those movies at all yet. So, so we'll see how that plays out. That might be. It might follow the same pattern with Zack Snyder did. With his Snyderverse, it's going to be Superman, Batman v Superman, or like World Finest, and then Justice League, and then
It
you have your
might.
and you have all your side characters have their own little spin-off stories they tell.
And that's fair. It's just I don't want to belabor the point, but I feel like it's an inevitability.
And there's gonna be some connections sooner or later. We're gonna see it because our next movie is Supergirl. So it's like, okay, what's that gonna give us? Where's that gonna lead us next?
Hmm.
More likely a cosmic threat that we're gonna then could be Darkseid. We could get that's probably where we get our introduction to Darkseid. We're like, okay, Darkseid's our main bad guy. We're leading up to, you know, or Brainiac. I would think Brainiac and like, okay, the Justice League movie is gonna be Brainiac as the main bad guy. We're leading up to this.
I would hope
Or
it's
she
Brainiac.
releases Doomsday
Doomsday. You
again.
know, and to go back a little bit, I was thinking, whatever that black hole does to Ultraman, he could also lead to Doomsday. 'Cause they've done that before
Yes.
with the turning a clone into Doomsday.
Yep, they did it in Smallville. They did that in some other ones too.
Yeah.
All right. So that's pretty much it with the end credits. Let's get into our ranking of the movies and our overall thoughts. All right. So right here we have Figgy Pop film chart right here, and this is we're gonna show you the movies that are from bad to good and from not fun to fun. And yeah, I'm putting the movie right here is in the top section of the good and fun part. So because the movie is very entertaining, does an amazing job, and its rewatchability is great on this one. I can see myself rewatching this a couple more times. If not in theaters, then definitely when it hits HBO Max.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm putting this movie out. So now let's go into our movie rankings from a scale of 1 to 10. One being the movie was crap and garbage and everything, to 10 being this movie was a masterpiece. Gabe, what do you rank this movie and why?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the why first because we need
Okay.
to rewind going back to my introduction to Superman on film was the Richard Donner film, the very first Superman, and all the promos like when you see this movie, you will believe a man could fly. And in my little young adolescent mind, I bought that tagline like wholeheartedly. Like seeing Christopher Reeves with his arms out in front of him, it looked like they made a man fly on in the movie.
Yep.
And that version of Superman was like what I base every other Superman off of, even the comics, because I was introduced to Superman first of the film, and then the comics, and then the cartoons, etc. So, with that being said, just going through the films very quickly. Again, 1 and 2 of the Richard Donner films were like they're classics. They're like tens in my head. Going forward, 3 and 4 were we're not gonna talk about those except for that
Quest
horror
for
scene.
Peace.
Huh?
Quest Peace is the best. Quest for Peace is the best. Nuclear Man is my favorite. It's the
Nick-
first. That was the first Superman movie I ever saw.
Really?
Was yes.
Oh man, that's an introduction. I like that movie too, but pretty much just because of that character and that goofy fight. But the besides the classics, the one scene that sticks in my head is the horror scene of that lady being absorbed into
Oh
that
yeah.
wall of electronics and turned into that horror show robot thing.
Yep. Should
Um,
have been Brainiac. Should have been
it
Brainiac.
should have been Brainiac. Yeah, that would have been great. But moving on from that, then we get Superman Returns, which I've already lamented on. I liked what they tried to do. I absolutely hated the kid, the son character. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't like how boring the film was. I didn't like how the pacing of the movie was very slow and it felt like nothing was happening. So that's like the bottom of the Superman films for me. I
Have you
loved
rewatched it recently?
I have not. I need to. I want to give it another chance. I've only
Yeah.
seen it like once, maybe twice. I do want to give it another shot because Brandon Routh's a great actor.
Yep.
He redeemed himself in that TV show where he was the older Superman. But anyways, moving on. Then we get to the Snyderverse and all that huge promises of reigniting everybody's belief in Superman, and we got the Man of Steel. And I like that movie, but I liked it because in comparison to Superman Returns, there was stuff happening. There was fights, there was punching,
Yes.
there was violence, there was plenty of action. The story made no sense from beginning to end, like except for when they showed Clark's upbringing. Like after that, after Pa died, and for like the stupidest reason ever. I'm sorry, that whole death
Yeah.
scene did not need to happen at all. And then him becoming a nomad for no reason, and him finding the suit, and the whole that whole Jor-El introduction war scene was interesting, but I don't think it needed to happen that way. But that movie was like kind of at the time it was in the middle. Now it's like a solid D for me, and that led to Batman versus Superman, which is still a D movie, even though it was kind of fun. The Justice League movies were they were what they were. I like Whedon's version a little bit better because it was more of a fun film. Snyder's was like the ultimate director's cut of a director's cut, and it made no sense, and it was long to be long. And I don't feel like he understood the characters for how we know them. He tried to he tried to put them into like gods for this weird story he wanted to tell.
Yeah.
So anyways, those are like all D movies. This one brought me back. Like Superman 2025, like reignited my interest in this character. It was almost a perfect characterization of Superman and Clark. It showed like he's not just the Man of Steel or the Man of Tomorrow. He's like a man of the people.
Okay.
He wants to save everybody. He wants to do good, not only for everybody but for himself. Because again, this is like 3 years into his career. He's still trying to figure himself out, and he openly admits in the like this huge dialogue scene with Lex Luthor after his plans like go to crap, and he's like well, he's not shouting at him, but he's kind of lecturing him like, I'm fallible. I make mistakes. I'm not always going to do the right thing, but I'm trying my best, which makes me a human being just like you. And that whole
Yeah.
point where he was like trying to connect with Luther, still even after he tried to kill him several times in this movie, he's trying to connect to Luther on a human level, which was I feel was missing from all these other Superman movies, except the Donner films. Like this movie showed how this man with all this power, all this invincibility, all these abilities, is just trying to connect with as many human beings on our tiny little planet as possible. And that to me is something that we are really missing in a lot of superhero movies and movies in general. Um, so, anyways, all that to say, this movie was an emotional ride for me. I really enjoyed the characterization of Clark and Superman, and it was very fun. It was so much fun. They brought in like a lot of the fun parts of the comics and the cartoons and the movies, And like we've been talking about during this whole discussion, um, James Gunn drew from like the best parts of like all the Superman media, from the All Star Superman comic, which you mentioned, from the animated series. There was a lot of goofiness from the animated series in this movie. They had the Hall of Justice in this movie, which I love. We got Crypto. Like we haven't seen Crypto in like an actual movie ever, and to see this dog be like so playful and lively, and like every time he was on the camera, he just brought so much life to the movie. Um, we got like the hope from like the first Richard Donner film of just Superman being like a symbol of peace and hope for everybody. Um, so all that to say, I give this movie a 9.
Hey everyone, this is JD. You probably just noticed right now that I was talking and no sound was coming out. It appears that I've somehow lost the audio for the last 10 minutes of my review. And luckily we had my friend Gabe. His audio was perfectly fine. It was just on my side, it just completely died. So I just want to give you guys a heads up, and that's why it's gonna look very different now, because I'm gonna do my outro and my ranking right now, and we'll see how that goes. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my ranking and my outro. Superman 4, The Quest
Hmm.
for Peace, was my first initial Superman I ever saw. And it's the one that kind of put the basis on what Superman is. The fight, everything, those silly fights and everything like that, that's kind of where I grew up with. It
Yes.
wasn't until years later I saw Superman 1 and 2, and then eventually I saw 3. 3 was always a blind spot for me for years, so it took a while before I even saw 3. From there, Superman Returns was kind of a little bit of a boring letdown in the sense that nothing really happened. Here's a movie where Superman's fighting nobody. All the humans that he's fighting are using kryptonite to their advantage and basically taking him down. It's kind of silly. I wish if we had a new Superman movie, we would have had a really cool bad guy or a really cool villain he could have fought. That leads me to the Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. You know what? I did like Henry Cavill as Superman. I like what they were trying to do is set
Mhm.
an alien in the real world. I just feel like it got convoluted once we got into the Batman story. Well, how cool would have been if we saw Batman's arrive at the same time Superman arrives as an answer for Superman. I don't know. That'd be kind of neat. It would have been very different. But overall, I did like the movies. I like some of the stuff in the movie, and I like some of the stuff in those movies. So now that leads me to Superman 2025. What can I say about Superman that I haven't said at all in the last couple hours? This movie brought me so much joy. It brought me so much like good feelings, so much
Yeah.
emotion. It brought a lot out that I didn't expect a Superman movie to do. And yes, there's little flaws here and there in the whole movie, but it's the overall movie that just I don't know. It just brings you hope and joy, and that's what a superhero movie should do. It should bring you joy. Yeah, there should be some sadness. There should be some emotional
Yeah.
parts in it, and James Gunn does a great job of bringing that emotional level to Superman. And I, I just love this movie. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I seen this movie now one more time at IMAX, and it's just amazing IMAX too. But yeah, this movie it really does hit on all the levels, and I hope everybody out there does find this movie and does enjoy it too, like we all did, because it's just a feel good movie that you want to see at this time of your life. That will brighten your day. So, with that being said, my ranking for Superman 2025 is yep, 9 out of 10. I'm giving this movie a 9 out of 10. It's my highest grossing, and I'm not going to back down from that. The movie is that enjoyable, it's that much fun, and it's a good movie that's also super fun, and you can't take that away. All right, so with that being said, guys, we're coming up to the end of our video. It's almost 2 hours long. It's crazy to think about. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion we had on Superman 2025. I hope you enjoyed the background and our thoughts and about the characters and how it tied into the overall Superman universe. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you see Superman 2025? What did you think? What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy it also? So this is pretty much going to be my last video until San Diego Comic Con coming up. And you know what? We have a lot of things in store for that. I'm going to do some walkthroughs. Me and Gabe are going to be playing we're doing a scavenger hunt at San Diego Comic Con too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys can enjoy us on those journeys as we're showing off all those video footage. Expect shorts while we're at San Diego Comic Con. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of here and there, but I can't wait to show you guys what's in store at San Diego Comic Con. And guys, you know what? If you're enjoying content like this, make sure you're hitting the like, subscribe, and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is posted. And like I said, thank you for joining us on this wild discussion on Superman. And until next time, this is JD and my friend Gabe, and this is the Figgy Pop Collector Channel.
That concludes a Figgy Pop transmission.